Hi, my name is Brandon, and I am the Product Support Engineer for SystemLink. And today we're going to be going over all of the different configuration settings and information that you have available to you via the Systems Manager. So to begin, we're at the SystemLink server's Systems Manager dashboard. And so we'll go ahead and jump into the Manage Systems to see what systems we have connected to our server. And so we have a couple different options. We have some CRIOs, some PXIe controllers that are also connected. And so let's go ahead and jump into one of these PXIe systems just to see what information we have available to us. And so this is the central view you see when you jump into one of your devices that you've connected to the SystemLink server. And so here we see that we have a bunch of different information about the system. We actually have the option to change the name of the system by editing this field, as well as to add any comments in the comments field at the bottom. And so once you make a change in one of these fields, you'll just save it. That'll be the process for saving any changes kind of across all the different options we have from the Systems Manager. And so you also will see 4 tabs at the bottom, which will give you access to other information. So first we'll jump and take a look at the Devices and Interfaces tab. And inside of the Devices and Interfaces tabs, we see a bunch of different modules that we have plugged into our PXIe controller. And so we see it's connected to a PXIe 1062 chassis, and you'll see a little bit of information about the chassis as well as the different modules we have in the chassis as well. So if we click in on one of the modules, we'll see additional information about that module. And so we see it's a National Instruments PXIe 5122, has some information about the serial number, firmware, as well as some external calibration information. So here we have external calibration as well as self-calibration data. And from the devices and interface sections, we also have the ability to self-calibrate and self-test. And so to do that, you just go ahead and click one of these buttons, and you'll actually see it update the date in the self-calibration setting. And so you'll also see any other devices that we have access to. So here we have we see the COM port on our controller, as well as a USB device that's plugged into it. If we go back to the main device page, we can actually go back into the software tab to get some information as to what software is installed on our controller. And so here we see that we have a application called Inverter Test that is installed on our system. It gives us the version that's installed, as well as the ability to upgrade it if it's a software that you have distributed to the system via a feed and there's an upgrade available. You can actually just choose to upgrade it, and you also have the ability to see the other versions as well as uninstalled the software from the controller. Also, there are different tabs that'll give you more information about other upgrades or other software installed to the target. So here we see available, and I can just like before we saw the inverter test, you can also see the different versions of Package Manager as well as any other packages and feeds that you have registered on that client, and you'll have the ability to install or change versions of it, as well as any feeds that you have registered with that client. And so now we'll go back into the PXIe's main page and take a look at the History tab. And so inside of the History tab, we see a bunch of different events that controller has gone through. So we see some self-calibration, we see some software installation. If we scroll down, you'll see some see here we tried to refresh and it failed. So this is kind of a way you can kind of take a look back at the history of the target and get any information about kind of what it's been doing lately. And lastly, we'll jump into the Time Settings tab. And so this tab is pretty simple in function. It just allows you to change the time settings for your target. Allows you to change the date as well as pick the time zone that you're in. And that's pretty simple. But yeah, I hope that just gives you a little bit of information about what you can do from the Systems Manager and the Devices and Interfaces section of the Systems Manager to configure your target, as well as get kind of additional information about your target.